7 stone tools were found on an island no early human relative should have reached. No bones, no skull, no body. Just 7 sharp flakes buried in the ground for over 1,000,000 years. And somehow, whoever made them had crossed deep ocean to get there. We don't know how they arrived. We don't even know who they were. This is the story of a mystery that still has no face. To understand why this is such a big deal, you need to know about an invisible line in the ocean. About 170 years ago, a scientist named Alfred Russel Wallace was traveling through the islands of Southeast Asia, and he noticed something very strange. On one side of a narrow stretch of sea, the animals looked Asian: tigers, elephants, rhinos, and many other familiar Asian mammals. But on the other side, just a short distance away, the animals were completely different. Strange birds, pouched animals, more like the ones in Australia. It was as if an invisible wall ran through the ocean. Animals on one side almost never crossed to the other. Today, we call this invisible wall the Wallace Line. Why couldn't animals cross it? Because the water between these islands is very deep and the currents are very strong. Even when the sea level dropped during the ice ages, this gap never closed. There was always open, dangerous ocean in the way. The island of Sulawesi sits on the far side of that line, the hard-to-reach side, and that is exactly what makes the next part so surprising. In a quiet cornfield in southern Sulawesi, at a place called Calio, archaeologists were digging. 1,000,000 years ago, this spot was not a cornfield. It was the edge of a river. In the old layers of rock, they found 7 small, sharp stone tools. They were made by hand. Someone had taken pebbles from the river and struck them in a controlled way to make sharp edges. Good for cutting. But how old were they? To find out, the team used 2 clues. First, they studied the magnetic signal locked inside the rock layers, which acts like a clock. Second, they found the fossil of an ancient pig right next to the tools, and they dated that too. Both clues pointed to the same answer. These tools were at least 1,000,000 years old, maybe older. That made them by far the oldest sign of human relatives ever found on the island, hundreds of thousands of years older than anyone expected. Someone was on this island, making tools over 1,000,000 years ago, on the wrong side of a line that was almost impossible to cross. So how did they cross that deep, dangerous water? It is tempting to imagine brave explorers building a boat and bravely sailing into the unknown. But scientists think the truth is probably very different, and honestly, a little stranger. These were very early human relatives. Scientists believe they most likely did not have boats at all. Scientists think this kind of planned sea journey, gathering supplies and sailing toward land they could not even see, was probably beyond them. So how did they end up on the island? The leading idea is simple: by accident. Now and then, a storm or a flood can rip a big tangle of trees and plants loose from a riverbank. This floating mat of vegetation drifts out to sea, like a natural raft. Sometimes, animals are still clinging to it. Scientists think this is exactly how monkeys and rodents first reached these islands, carried across by accident, on floating islands of plants. And it may be how these early humans arrived too, not as explorers, as castaways, swept out to sea, holding on and washing up on a shore they never planned to find. So, who were they? Here is the strangest part. We still don't know, and the reason is simple. The team found tools, but they did not find a single bone. No skull, no skeleton, nothing from the body of whoever made these stones. Without bones, scientists cannot say for sure which kind of early human this was. Their best guess is a species called Homo erectus, an early human relative known to have lived in this part of the world long ago. But it is only a guess. Until someone finds a fossil, the toolmaker stays faceless, a ghost. And this island may be hiding even more. Nearby islands have already surprised scientists. On Flores, they found Homo floresiensis, the small-bodied human relative often nicknamed the Hobbit. Island isolation can shape evolution in strange ways. Sulawesi is much bigger than Flores, so who knows what or who might still be waiting in its ground. Think about what this means. Over 1,000,000 years ago, long before our own species even existed, someone stood on the shore of this island. They made tools, they lived their lives, and then they vanished so completely that all that's left is 7 sharp stones in a cornfield. We don't know what they looked like. We don't know how they thought. We only know they were here, and that they, or their ancestors, were carried across an ocean they probably never meant to cross, to an island they were never supposed to reach. Sometimes the most amazing discoveries are not the ones that give us answers, they're the ones that leave us with a better mystery. Next time, we look at a strange event in the sky. Around 41,000 years ago, Earth's magnetic field became much weaker. One new study asks whether this may have changed how ancient humans protected themselves. I'll see you there.